software. And so we're back. What we're doing right now is we are COMP305, and here it is, COMP305, and it's week 1, lesson 1, part 1 for winter 2016. I'm going to turn this down because it gives a little bit more visibility on the screen, especially since we're doing Unity and everything else. All right, so there it is. I'm not sure if you can hear me. If someone can check it up on YouTube and see if you guys can hear me. I know I'm recording properly, so that's pretty cool anyway. But just in case, if you guys want to check it out, you can see. So what's this course all about anyway? What are we doing here? Again, for some of you, if you're a game student, who's a game student in the class? There might be one I might have. Most of them they're going to be on co-op at this time, right? So I had most of the game students, like the interactive gaming students, last semester. So if you're not an interactive gaming student, obviously you're not alone. Most of you are going to have this as an elective, and that kind of assumes that you have a couple things. One of them is you should have at least COMP305, which is programming 2, if I'm not wrong, which means you should know C#. Most of you should have something like a Java as well. So you should have a Java. Are you guys doing Java this semester or next semester? Or have you done it already? Beautiful. So that means from a object-oriented programming perspective, in general scripting, you guys should be fairly good, right? So it's not something that you're going to see that's new in this course. The new stuff is going to be all the gaming stuff that you haven't seen before. So one of the questions that I always get is, well, I'm not a gaming student. Should I take the course? I'm just going to pull this off for now. Yes?
There's no audio.
No audio on the thing yet. I'm not sure why. I'm going to have to figure that out. But I am recording it, so it's pretty cool. I don't know why I'm not getting any audio. I'm not blocking audio by any means, so that's weird. Anyways, is what it is. So remember, this is just additional information, and hopefully when I record my other videos, we're going to be good. Like I'm actually getting the recording done. I have 2 parts: broadcast and recording. This is the broadcast. I'll do the recording. I'll put up the recording later on this week. All right. So again, so what's the proposition? Why would you take this course if you're not a gaming student, interactive gaming? Well, again, there's applications for this one. When we do Unity, we learn we kind of learn a graphics engine, and we can create interactive 3D graphics and 2D graphics. And there's different applications for not just for web, because when we do Unity, we can actually export things to the web in different platforms. Not just for games, like for example, for the PC and Mac, or console games, Xbox and PS4. But we also can create game-like experiences for other applications like medical, military, simulations, those kind of things is where you can get that kind of use out of it. And it's the one good thing that you learn when you do a game course, any game course, it's a larger project, right? It's something that, like I talked about yesterday when we did the other course on advanced graphics. Can you open the door for her, please? Sorry. It's when we talk advanced graphics, you can't outthink the game that you normally would be able to outthink a little simple program like, let's make a calculator in Java, right? Or let's make a calculator in, call it whatever. That's the first program you learn to make, a calculator or some kind of simple app. There isn't a simple app that we kind of make here in this course. It's all larger apps, right, that we do, right? So that's the one thing that we do, and that's one kind of a value proposition for why you want to do this course. It helps you organize yourself. And there's different technologies. One more time, if you can grab that door again. Sorry. One of you. There's different... there's other different parts when we do this course. We do, there's other parts to it that we do at the same time. It's not as simple as just doing Unity. You don't just learn Unity. You learn C#, different kind of C#. We're using a C# API, which you may have not seen before. And then we combine all these skills, as well as some design skills and so on, to create an app every time. So again, at the end of the course, the things you'll come out with is 3 games, right? One, that's a 2D straight up kind of shooter game. Another one that's going to be a 2D platformer, right, where you actually do some platform with some physics, right? And then another one that's going to be a 3D game where you kind of do a 3D first-person perspective. I'm not going to call it a shooter because there's, you don't have to shoot. If you're someone who's non-violent, you don't have to make a 3D, first-person shooter game. It's not required. And the final game that you're going to make for Unity is a project that you're going to work with one other partner on, right? So you can work with somebody else on to make this game, right? Again, it's going to be your own code, but one thing that I will allow for when you create stuff is you can download stuff from the asset store. So it's not like you have to create your own assets here or you have to be an artist. That's not a requirement, right? So don't worry, if you're not an artist and you still want to do games and you want to learn about gaming, this is the course for you. It's an intro course, so that means that there isn't, we're going to touch on a lot of different things, but we can't go into a lot of depth. It's not going to be easy, okay? I'm not going to tell you that this course is an easy course. I think from a scale of 1 to 10, it's not full scripting, so it's not going to be as hard as the one you're taking yesterday. It's not going to be like just a pure scripting course because there is some drag and drop components. There are some ways of using some built-in things in Unity, so that way you can take advantage of the whole Unity game engine, and it's pretty cool, right? That way. So it's not fully scripting, but there is quite a heavy script component. So I would say, out of a 10, I'd still say it's about a 7 in terms of complexity, right? It's not an 8 or a 9 like we've seen in other courses that I do, right? But this one is definitely there's some script component to it. So if you're not a great script person, you don't know how to write C# very well, or you didn't do that well in COMP305, it might be a little bit more challenging for you in terms of understanding how everything fits together, right? But if you're pretty good with coding and you're hands-on and you want to learn, new game system, Unity is really cool. You can do a lot with it. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, a game. You can do other things. We're going to make games, but the applications are many. All right, so we talked about kind of prerequisites and so on. This is kind of the older course outline that we have. So there's going to be some changes along with this one, right? So that we're going to be kind of viewing, and this course outline should be available up on eCentennial. However, the outline is, like I said, an outline. It's like kind of high level. The book that's mentioned here, Unity 4.x Cookbook, is a great reference. It's not required. I'm not going to follow the book, chapter by chapter in this particular case. And the reason for this is because there are newer books, and one of the newer ones is Unity 5 Cookbook. There's 2 versions of Unity, right, that are kind of floating out there right now. There's Unity 4.x.69, I believe, and there's Unity 5.31, right? The machines in front of you, unfortunately, cannot legally have Unity 5 on them. Doesn't mean that they're not going to have them at the end somehow, right? I'm just telling you that that's what happens. So I fully recommend, if you have your own laptop, that's the way to go, so you can control your environment. I'm going to be working with Unity 5 primarily, but all the stuff I do pretty much with Unity 5 can be converted into Unity 4, right? So if you don't have a laptop, you don't have access, you can certainly use the machine in front of you. If you have a desktop at home and if you want to team viewer into it, so you want to control it remotely, that might be a good solution. If the machine in front of you, the one that we supply at the school, isn't going to do it for you, right? But there's no requirement for you to use Unity 5 necessarily, although my lectures will all be in Unity 5, so it helps if you have some access to it. It's free for students. So if you're a student, it doesn't cost anything for you to get it if you have your own laptop, which again, I highly recommend you have your own laptop to do Unity 5 with me, right? It's better from a control perspective. You can control your environment and you can produce more with it, okay? So that's what we're going to be using, Unity 5. So even though it says Unity 4 Cookbook, there's a Unity 5 Cookbook by Pact that costs like $5 or $10 that you can buy. It's not that expensive, and it's pretty detailed. There's some really good information there about creating, kind of the environment and so on. But again, we won't be following that week over week. Assignments, I mean, here the old assignments like we saw before, there was quite a few of them. I'm not going to be doing 6 assignments. There's just no way, like I mentioned earlier. And so there's some changes, right? I mean, this is the outline, but I'm going to provide some changes, and I need to provide a course plan for you, right? So here's my outline. It gives you kind of a high level of what the requirements and what the course outcomes are going to be, right? So an example, you might see that there's some learning outcomes. These learning outcomes we're going to hit. We're going to hit all these learning outcomes. But the way we do the course is going to be slightly different. So I'm going to have to provide a course plan for you by the end of the week. So that means by tomorrow, right? And what I want to do with that is kind of schedule things like when things are due, your assignments, what kind of assignments you have, what we're going to be talking about week over week, and so on. One of the things that I will be doing is I will be hosting a quiz every single week. So, and it'll be based on previous week's work, right? So attendance, although it's not mandatory, you don't have to be here for attendance to actually be to the course, because I'll be either recording or broadcasting if I can get that working, for every day. But that's the advantage. On the disadvantage side, you won't be able to do your test remotely. I'm only going to be giving you your password in the morning. You'll have access to your quiz. You have 5 minutes to do your quiz every single time we come in every week. It's going to be once a week we'll do this, and it'll be based on previous week's work. So you really kind of have to attend to get that mark. It's going to be 1% of your final mark every time we do a quiz. It's going to be auto marked for you, so you'll get your mark right away, and it'll give you kind of a gauge of how you're doing every single week. You'll kind of know, okay, well, I kind of understood the stuff before. Right? Again, it'll probably be like 5 to 10 questions. Take about 5 minutes to do. And it might include some programming questions, like things like, so what does this piece of code do? Right? And what is this inside in the Unity editor? And what is this, in Blender, and so on. So stuff we cover this week, guaranteed, we're going to talk about it next week. Great thing for people who are taking stuff from my other courses that I'm hosting this semester is it's going to be similar in some aspects in the beginning, in the first week or so. If you can grab that door again, sorry. And it looks like we've closed it off, but there's a bit of noise. Thank you for that. All right, so quiz every week. But that means we can't do quizzes every single week, because we're going to have, here's the quizzes what we're going to have. We're going to have one next week, right? Based on this week. So there's going to be another one week 3. Week 4, I'm going to host a short test, right? Which is going to be a longer test. So it won't be a regular quiz. It'll be a longer test that kind of covers the first part of week 1, 2, 3 kind of stuff, right? And kind of that section. And I want to kind of break our tests off like that. So I'll have like at least 3 tests, one between midterm and now, and one at midterm. So that's going to be a test. There's going to be another test between midterm and your final project, right? And that's it. So you have 3 tests. So 3 days I can't do a quiz. I can't do a quiz this week, right? So it's 4 days you lose, right? But the other 10, right? There's going to be 10 other days that I'm going to be doing quizzes pretty much throughout the time that we do our course. There's going to be like 10% that I'm going to be doing just by you coming in every week. Even when there's a non-teaching week, and in the past I've done things like giving you workshop weeks on weeks 12 and 13. There's kind of workshop weeks to get you to work. I'll still run a quiz during those weeks based on some short little tutorials we'll be running for those weeks. So I won't do a whole day. It might not be a whole week of teaching. You'll have one of the days off to do other things, but you'll still be getting a quiz during those weeks. So it behooves you to come in. And again, I'm not going to broadcast the quiz. You're not going to have access to it remotely because I'm going to password it, right? So you can only get the password when you're here physically. Okay, and if I don't see you and you're doing the quiz somehow off-site, I won't allow it. Well, either way, you have to be physically in to get the quiz, and it'll be usually day 1. I'll let you know ahead of time. So so next week, chances are I'm going to be running it day 1, which would be like Tuesday at this time frame, 10:30 to 12:30. Okay, there's no surprises. It's not hard, but it just makes you kind of stay on task when it comes to learning. And there's a lot of stuff to learn in this course. This course is packed full of information, right? It's another one of these courses that there's a lot of stuff to kind of get out of it. And there's some assumptions that are made that aren't exactly accurate. Let's take a look at some of the stuff that we talk about here in our outline. Some of the stuff is accurate. Like, for example, we're going to talk about Blender today because we're going to need Blender a lot more in this course than we would in other courses. In the other course that I'm hosting today, there's 2 other courses that I'm doing this semester. One, which is Advanced Graphics on Mondays, and the other one, which is Web Game Programming on Fridays, right? I won't be using Blender as much in those courses and stuff, some other kind of creation tools, as much as this course. This course requires some kind of 3D asset management, asset creation, so I need to cover that a little bit. I cannot assume that you know anything about 3D in this course, right? Because there's no requirement to take COMP391. COMP391 is another course that I do full Blender. However, there are some really cool tutorials online that you can certainly watch, and I do have some tutorials on COMP391 that you can always look at if you want to kind of learn the rudiments of Blender. Okay, so that's really it in a nutshell when it comes to Blender. So I can't follow this schedule exactly, and like I said, I'm going to be giving you more of a course plan coming up over, by tomorrow, let's say, so you'll know what's happening. So that'll replace what's happening here in the outline in terms of schedule, not in terms of outcome. Outcome, same, right? Schedule, different, slightly different, and only because we have to upgrade or update our outline. And Professor Narendra and I, the course leader for this one, have discussed it, and he's agreed that this course outline will be changed. Okay, so let's take a look and see what it's really going to look like. So again, first week, I would say this asset creation tool. Next week, you're going to get assignment number 1, which is the 2D shooter, and we're going to build the 2D shooter out over a couple of days, right? So we're going to do kind of like week 2 and week 3. We're going to just work on 2D using Unity, right? Primarily, right? By week 3, by week 4, you're going to get or week 5, you're going to get your test, and again, I'll outline that for you. And you'll get assignment number 2, which is your platformer. Now, if you notice, there's a couple weeks between assignments, and it's pretty heavy duty in terms of schedule. And the reason for that is because I don't have a lot of time, and I got to talk about a lot of different things, right? So every couple weeks, you'll be getting an assignment, right? In the beginning, the first part of the semester, right? So again, first one is next week. You're going to get it. Then you're going to get another one week 4, and then there's going to be your midterm, and then you're going to hit your assignment number 3 probably, or just after midterm, right? Now in this semester we have a break, if I'm not wrong, after week 5, because I think we hit February the family day. So week 6 is officially when we take off, if I'm not wrong. We have a week off. That's reading week this semester. So we do week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We take a reading week, and then we're back for week 6, 7, 8, 9, and the rest. Which is kind of weird, right? Because we don't have that mid-semester break. It's not really a mid-semester break. It's kind of the first part of the semester break, and then we do the rest of the semester. So, so that might be weird for you a little bit, but it's how things roll sometimes during the winter, right? So anyway, so it won't be exactly even though midterm says week 7, it'll be after the break that we have our midterm, right? So that's what it'll end up happening for us. So you get assignment 3. Again, it'll be due in a couple weeks, let's say by week 10, and then we're going to start talking about a first-person shooter, and you'll get your final project details by week 10, right? So then that'll be due by week 14. Here's something that I'm going to be doing different this semester compared to others, and that's across the board at all my courses. Every time you get an assignment, there'll be 2 parts to it. So you'll get like part 1, part 2, right? And part 1 will usually mean I'm looking for an external document, some planning, that kind of stuff in the beginning, which will be due the following week. So every week there's going to be something due for you, right? And when I mark that piece, that part of the assignment, it's marked. I'm not going to go remark it or add it on or anything like that. It's almost like I'm going to be doing things with milestones, right? Same thing with your project. When you do your project's worth 4 weeks, each week there's going to be something you're going to have to deliver, right, for your project. So that way it keeps you on the ball, right? And it's smaller parts. It's almost like it's going to take the place of our labs. So even though I'm only going to have 3 assignments in one project, the 3 assignments can be broken up into 2 parts. So that's like 6 parts, right? What if you fail to hand in 1 part? It's gone. I'm not going to accept it, right, the following week. So it's not like it's going to be like you haven't done it and then now you hand it in the second part. Second part, I'm only looking at that part. The other part, you're late, it's over, right? So there's going to be certainly some kind of leeway because there's extraneous circumstances that come up that make us all late. But there'll be a heavy-duty penalty for the first day, 20%, and then after that it's going to be 10% for every other day, right? Typically that's how I do my assignments. I've been lenient in the past, but I've been told I have to tighten up, so I'm tightening up. Okay, so that's part of the things that happen. So quiz 1, again, around week 4 or week 5. Quiz 2 around week 11, and then some small weekly quizzes that I'm going to be doing week over week. Your final presentation will be week 14. We'll have 2 days, day 1, day 2, for you guys to present all your interesting games and everything else that you're working with somebody else. I would highly recommend you partner with somebody early. Partner with somebody that you know that works. Please don't partner with somebody who doesn't work. And what about if you don't work well with others? There's this whole thing about, I don't play well with others, Tom. Do I have to work with somebody else? No, you don't. You can work on your own, certainly. But the challenge there when you work on your own is there's a large body of work to be done, and it's just you. And there's, every week there's going to be something that you're going to have to deliver, right? So it's heavy duty in terms of all the work that you're going to have to do, right? There's a lot of work on my end as well. But on the plus side is you're always there, you're delivering, and you're not going to be late. The challenge when we give an assignment that's a couple weeks out is you leave it to the last week, right? That's what happens. The more time I give you for your assignment, traditionally, or a professor, the more time you're going to spend not doing it, and then you're going to do it the last week. It's just, unfortunately, it's just the way things roll, right? So I can't let that happen, and so we've been looking at different ways of doing things more in kind of hands-on. Good thing is I'll be giving you some time during class to do some of it, right? So it's not like you'll be completely doing it at home or that kind of thing. My style, if you haven't had me before, is kind of a lecture lab mix. I don't do like lecture one day, lab the next day. I don't do that. So it's kind of like we interact. This is a you and I do together kind of class, as opposed to you watch me and then you do on day 2. We don't do that. I don't do it like that. And that's really it in a nutshell. That's kind of like our plan at a very, very high level, right? That's how we do our stuff. Okay, so again, lots of stuff to learn. It may seem pretty daunting that there's all this stuff that has to be done, but the great thing is that once we start rolling and we get all your classes going, you'll see how everything mixes well together. One good thing that can happen is when you do assignment 1, 2, 3, whatever one you're really good at, and usually traditionally in this course from last semester I noticed this: assignment 1, awesome, everyone did a great job, right? Assignment 2, it was a little bit okay, right? Assignment 3 sucked, right? And then so then a lot of people use assignment 1 or 2 to make their final project. And why? Well, how can you do that, you're going to ask, right? Because your final project is going to require 3 levels, right? Level 1, 2, 3. One thing you cannot do is you can't say, I want to use assignment 1 for level 1, assignment 2 for level 2, assignment 3 for level 3, and then come up with my final. No, that's not going to happen. You choose one, and you can choose one to base off your final project on. So it's not like you're going to start off from scratch necessarily. And if you're working with a partner, you can use the best of both worlds, a little bit from what he or she give you, and a little bit of what your stuff is happening, and you kind of put it together and kind of create your own game. That's fine. And there's some really good examples that I have that I want to show you later on in terms of what you're producing. If you can grab that too. Some other familiar faces. So that's really it in kind of a plan in what we're going to be doing. Again, please look for winter 2016 and the on YouTube to find all this stuff out. And I apologize. I'm not sure why the thing isn't working in terms of recording. Although I do see that it's recording locally, I'm not sure why it's not recording my voice. Although I am also recording it locally so you can hear it. So what might happen in this semester, for whatever reason, because I know things have changed, they'd always change around here, as well as on YouTube and so on, because some things are in beta, I may have to put up the videos later on. You might not get them at the same time as what I'm doing. That's fine. You'll still get the videos. You just take an extra day. There's tons of videos on the right. There's 70 videos that are up in my playlist as it is. So it's not like some of those aren't going to work for you. Okay? Any questions for the outline and everything else? Right? So again, just to recap, even though there's an outline, I'm going to come up with a course plan by tomorrow that's going to change some of our scheduling. So the schedule is going to be slightly different than on the official outline that's up on eCentennial, right? So please don't go with that. It's we're going to be doing a quiz every week, right? Again, starting next week, and there is one lab that's available to you now for those people who've never had access to GitHub. We will be using GitHub extensively for what we're going to be doing. So if you've never done GitHub before, I'm going to ask you to sign up, and it's worth 1% of your final mark if you do it today. It's due by Friday. So at Friday it closes. Anyone who hasn't done their sign up by Friday, 1% gone, right? So sign up today for your lab. Are you in here too? Yeah, okay, if you can grab that. Sign up for today for your lab, and then by Friday it's due. It's 1%. If you already have a GitHub account, that's great. That means you're going to get 1 free %, right? Which is totally cool. And I require GitHub for my courses, so I'm giving you credit for it. I'm kind of paying you for it in advance, right? It's not just giving me your account. I've asked you to create a repo in the assignment. So please look at Lab 1. It's due by Friday, and it's just you creating an account in some kind of repo that you're going to share with me in a text file. If you give me your account with no repo, you won't get a full %. It's kind of very simple, right? If you give me everything that I've asked you for, you're going to get full marks, right? So please, by Friday, I'd ask you that you give me your GitHub kind of a, in a text file, a repo, and you put it up on Dropbox. One of the things that I'm going to be doing this semester that's a little bit different is I'm going to be creating a team for COMP305 in an organization, Centennial College. And I will be asking you all to join me as collaborators in that team, in that organization, right? And the great thing about that is we'll all be able to share in terms of collaborating on assignments and projects and so on. Okay? So that's what's happening in terms of course plan. So again, any questions before I continue? I'm going to dive right into the other stuff. I'm going to stop this recording actually is what I'm going to do, because this first part of the recording is almost like an organizational recording on what we're doing. And the next piece, part 2, I'm going to be talking more about Blender and so on. Okay, so let's stop this recording now, and then we'll go into the next piece after this.